The next principle is PE, or Parasite of Evil. This is saying that the evil is constantly trying to gravitate to the pure, to make it tainted. So if you get rid of like negative energy in your body, then people are gonna gravitate to you because it's the evil wanting to taint it as like a parasite, because it wants to you. So if you find that you're getting a lot of attention, what often happens is that you just got rid of negative energy, and so you're pure, right? So some say, oh, you're pure, people love you because of that. No, it's the ego that's attracted to you, and he's not attracted to you because he likes you. He's attracted to you because he wants to infiltrate your domain. He wants to get as close as he can to pollute the body, to pollute the person, so that it can take over, spread its energy. So it's an interesting thing. So you might say, wait a minute, Rafael, what about the purity of the soul? The soul, the highest part of you, gravitates to holy people, to people that are pure, people that have good intent. So yes, that is true. That is true, but that's not the essential component. Unfortunately, it works in such a way that people only gravitate to you if they sense that you have positive energy in you. And there's a human nature thing where people gravitate towards positive people. So basically, this principle is saying that why do they gravitate towards positive people? Is it because they get uplifted by them? Sure. But the reason why people get uplifted by them is because they're interested in listening to them. They're interested because really they want to, the ego wants the ego gives permission to allow the soul to be attracted to them because it wants to pollute that body. So if you're listening to people, like I can think of celebrities and YouTube artists, this phenomenon is constantly going on where there were a major facet to why we like certain people and we find them pure and beautiful and attractive, possibly a unique type of attractiveness. I have to think about it. But I think pure is the best word, is because the ego really wants to talk to them and wants to spread that negative. It wants to spread negative energy. So according to this logic, you have to escape from all people. And so I've advocated for this, that you really should be isolated from people, so you can purify yourself. When you come in, no one could really get to you. No one could really mess with your space. But it's not really practical. It's not really feasible, and so it's not a good thing to say. But it is a scary principle to consider, that the part of the regulation to increase negativity throughout the world of people is to make sure that that the pure are being antagonized. And that's why in the old days it was always that the evil, the wicked tread on the righteous, because this was a real thing. If you have someone's righteous, someone who's pure, he's going to get hated upon, treated upon poorly, so that he doesn't retain that peace of mind that gave him a sense of purity, and which in turn caused people to be attracted to him to pollute his space. So the question is, why is it that some people retain their purity and they don't get and they're free? They have a consistent basis of maintaining their purity, and people don't get to them. The reason is because they were protected. So the question is, why aren't people protected? It's because of the evil forces and the people that betray the good guys that mess with the system, so that those who are righteous and those who are pure do not consistently remain in a state of tranquility. What often happened in the old days is that you had a person you always had an enemy next to the righteous. That's what tended to happen. So in the case of David HaMelech, David the king, there was Doeg. So it's known in rabbinical literature and perhaps elsewhere in scripture, there's allusions to it, that Doeg hated David, and they were supposedly they were in close proximity in Saul's kingdom. So that's like a classic example where you have an enemy that's hating upon the righteous. Why? Because it's not like it's a fantasy story. This is like a kind of a law in nature where the evil wants to pollute the righteous space because it wants to take over the world, and so you need protection. So then you can ask, why wasn't David protected? And that's a whole can of worms, because there's many reasons, and like Saul was punished, so those in Saul's proximity were going to be negatively affected as well because of his proximity. And so Doeg was probably part of that because he was one of his closest men. So that probably pushed him over the edge to be even more hostile towards David, and therefore David ended up having a real enemy. But the principle is true.